Okay, how can you close a limited company with debts and not get into trouble? So this is a question and a objective for lots of UK directors out there today, because the businesses are struggling. They've been struggling for the last 3 years, but it's one thing closing a company down via an insolvency route, and it's another thing closing a company down via an insolvency route and getting into a shitload of trouble personally. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to close a company down without getting into trouble. So the first thing that you want to do, you want to spot signs of insolvency early on. Okay, so what you're looking for? Well, really simply, there's a test called the corporate insolvency test. And the first thing is, can you pay your debts when they fall due? Now, listen, we've all been there where you have to rob Peter to pay Paul. That happens in small businesses. But if it's happening week after week, month after month, quarter after quarter, that is a sign that your business is or becoming insolvent. Another thing you can look at is, how much are your debts more than your liabilities? You know, what money have you got due in against your debts and your assets? You know, and if your debts are more than your assets, more than the money coming in, again, it's a clear sign that you have become insolvent. So yeah, look out for signs that you're becoming insolvent early. And when you do become insolvent, that's when you need to start taking advice. Number 2. Let's say you have become insolvent and for whatever reason you're thinking, I'm not taking advice just yet, and I certainly don't want to speak to that four-eyed chap in the north of England. I understand that. You can't be all things to all people. But what you can't do is keep making your creditors' positions worse. Because once you become insolvent, if you was to continue to run up bills with suppliers, not pay your VAT bills, not pay your corporation tax, not pay your PAYE on time, well, that's going to put you in a position to get in trouble later on. So again, the minute you become insolvent, you don't take any more debt on. Again, you seek professional advice. Number 3, do not rip all the money out of the company. Okay, you become insolvent and you've got X thousand pounds in the bank and you think, oh bloody hell, I've worked for nothing for the last few months, or the company owes me 50 grand, and you whip out all that cash. You are going to get in trouble when the insolvency practitioner gets hold of the job and starts to look at what happens with the money. Because remember, this sort of, when you become insolvent, your roles and responsibilities change, right? You can't make creditors' positions any worse. And by you emptying the bank account actually makes your creditors' positions worse, and you will be chased for that money that you've taken out. And if you've got property or other business interests, there's a bloody good chance that you'll be made to pay it back. Next point. Don't sell company assets cheaply. So again, you become insolvent. I don't know, you might have some vans, you might have some machinery, you might have some stock. You can't start flogging that out the back door at pennies in the pound, because again, that's something that's going to get you in trouble. If you become insolvent, you can sell assets out of the business, but you must have them valued independently and you must sell them for a market value, because once an insolvency practitioner gets appointed, when you close the company, they're going to look at, right, well, what happened to that digger? What happened to those vehicles? What happened to that machinery? And if they found that you've sold it for cheaper than it's worth, they'll overturn the transaction and they will come for you for some more money, thus getting you in trouble. Next point. Do not pay people preferentially. Okay, so you've got an amount of money in the bank. You've become insolvent, and you're looking around and go, God, how can I get out of this? And you've got some personally guaranteed loans, and you've got stuff that isn't personally guaranteed. The temptation is to pay off the personally guaranteed stuff. The temptation is to, let's say your company owes you 50 grand, and you've got 50 grand in the account, and you go, well, you know what? I'm taking that 50 grand. It owes me, and blah blah. I've worked hard for it, but I'm leaving the HMRC being owed 50 grand. You are going to get in trouble for that, okay? Because again, an insolvency practitioner, when they become appointed, when you have to liquidate the business, they're going to look at why the company's failed. And one of the reasons that it's failed and a dividend's not been paid to the creditors is because the director has took all the money, or the director has paid off his personally guaranteed loan instead of leaving it for the liquidator to spread the dividends out to creditors in order of their importance. And final, don't bury your head in the sand. I've said this before, business debt's like toothache. It's not going to get better in most cases. It will start with a niggle, and then the pain gets more and pain gets more, and then it becomes unbearable. The minute you've become insolvent, okay, you've got to take advice. Go out, speak to people. You do not have to ring First Business Rescue, although we are fantastic. We do hundreds of videos just for the person like you out there. But go out and seek professional advice. And actually, my final point is take action. Be responsible. As a director, you have fiduciary duties, which means when you become insolvent, you've got to limit the damage to creditors. And one of the things that you'd be expected to do is take professional, independent insolvency advice, which we can offer you here at First. We're not here to judge, no strings, no obligation. I hope you found the video useful, and thanks for your time.